Like and subscribe if you can't stand Karens, and comment below with your country or city. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. Alright, let's dive into a story so absurd, it could only happen to me. Ever been floating in your pool, sun shining, totally relaxed, when your oasis turns into a reality TV episode starring a Karen and her wannabe cop husband? Just me? Figures. It was a sticky Tuesday, the kind where the air feels like molasses. I'm Ethan Ramsey, a tech entrepreneur who recently moved to the quiet town of Willow Creek. I decided a swim was just what I needed. Picture me lounging on a pineapple float, sipping lemonade, not a worry in sight. Then, excuse me, sir. My eyes popped open. At my yard's edge, practically frothing, was a woman who screamed Karen in her natural habitat. Beside her stood a guy built like a linebacker, rocking a crew cut and a tank top that shouted, "I bench press wrong." "Yes," I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "Can I help you?" "Yes, you can," she shrieked, her voice ricocheting off the water. "We've had reports of suspicious activity here." I raised an eyebrow, sitting up on the float. "Suspicious activity? Like what, a pineapple party?" "Don't get smart," she snapped, her face turning beet red. "We've been watching you, and we don't like it." Crew cut puffed out his chest. "Yeah, you don't belong here. This is a family neighborhood." Now I was baffled. I'd bought this house outright, deed and all. "Look, with all due respect, you're mistaken. I live here. This is my property. Deed or no deed," Karen declared, waving a hand. "You're lowering property values. We want you gone. This isn't your kind of place." I took a deep breath, aiming for calm. "Ma'am, I think you're confused." "We're not confused," she said, smirking. "My husband, Gary, is training to be a cop. He knows how to handle types like you." "Gary, tell him." Gary flexed his arms. "Impressive, I'll admit. You've got 5 minutes to pack and leave, or I'm calling the sheriff." I couldn't help but laugh. "You're calling the sheriff on me for swimming in my own pool?" I shook my head. "Gary, before you make that call, you might want to know who you're dealing with." Things were about to get wild. I climbed out, dripping, and grabbed a towel. Their faces were gold. Karen vibrating with rage. Gary torn between calling the sheriff and backing off. "I don't want trouble," I said, barely hiding a grin. "But you're trespassing, harassing me, and making baseless accusations. Leave, or this escalates." "We're not going anywhere until you do," Karen insisted, planting herself on my lawn. "This is for the community." I sighed. "Fine, you want to play? Let's play." Ignoring their protests, I headed inside. "Be right back," I called. In my room, I swapped the swim trunks for a tailored suit I'd prepped for a meeting. I grabbed my old college briefcase, still had some weight in this town. Back outside, they hadn't budged. Karen ranted about property values. Gary flexed, trying to look tough. I strode over, grinning, and opened my briefcase, pulling out a shiny badge glinting in the sun. "Let's try this again," I said, holding it up. "I'm Chief Ramsey, and you two are under arrest for trespassing and harassment." Karen's face drained of color. Gary's jaw hit the floor. They stared at the badge like it was a live grenade. "Chief," Karen stammered. But Gary's training to be an officer." "How sweet," I said dryly. "But you're hindering the police chief's duties." "Know what that means?" "He's still in training," she protested, pointing at Gary. "Doesn't even have his badge." "Maybe," I said, clipping mine to my belt. "But I do. And you're making a big mistake." I gestured to my car, a flashy silver Audi that screamed tech cash. "Get in. We're going downtown." They hesitated, but my look said I wasn't joking. Gary, despite his bulk, seemed to shrink. Karen sputtered, but was losing steam. As I drove to the station, I laughed. The irony was too good. Me, Willow Creek's new police chief, arresting two clowns trying to bully me out of my own home. You can't make this stuff up. But the day wasn't done. The Willow Creek police station was classic small-town faded paint, a bit dusty, staffed by cops who'd seen it all. As I walked in with a subdued Karen and Gary, all eyes turned. Sergeant Hayes, a weathered vet with a mustache like a broom, raised an eyebrow. "Chief Ramsey, what's this?" "Sergeant," I said, stifling a smirk, "bringing these two in for trespassing and harassment." Hayes' face was priceless. He glanced at Karen, trying to blend into the wall, and Gary, staring at his sneakers. "Trespassing and harassment," he repeated, fighting a laugh. "On who?" "On me." I said. At my house. The station roared with laughter. Even the dispatcher, who looked immune to surprises, cracked a smile. I raised a hand. All right. Sergeant, take their statements. I'll explain later. As Hayes led them away, I headed to my office, small, practical, with a view of the town square. I sat, exhaling. This was going to be fun. An hour later, Hayes knocked. Chief, got their statements. He handed me files. Karen's was a rant about neighborhood standards. Gary's, surprisingly clear, claimed he was protecting the community from outsiders. I sighed. What do you think, Sergeant? Hayes stroked his mustache. Technically, they broke the law. Trespassing's trespassing, harassment's harassment. But they didn't know you were the chief. Does that excuse it? I asked, leaning back. They violated the law. True, Hayes said, grinning. I say fine him heavy. Make an example. Show Willow Creek this nonsense won't fly. Maybe some community service, too. I chuckled. I like your style. So we did. Karen and Gary got hefty fines and 100 hours of community service cleaning trash along Willow Creek Parkway. The judge, a buddy of mine, added flair. Bright orange vests reading, I trespassed and harassed. Genius. News of their arrests spread like gossip at a barbecue. The diner, the market, even town council meetings buzzed. Mostly people laughed. I became a local legend, the black police chief who busted the Karen. Folks stopped me to shake hands, thank me for standing up to bullies, offer support. The mayor summoned me. Ethan, he said, you've been here weeks and made a bigger splash than anyone in years. I smiled. Just doing my job, Mayor. The best part? Karen and Gary's faces whenever we crossed paths. They'd scowl, mutter, avoid eye contact, lesson learned. One day, I saw them picking trash in their orange vests at the town square. I couldn't resist. How's it going? I asked, straight-faced. Karen glared. Gary kept working. Just remember, I said, respect your neighbors, follow the law, and maybe you won't end up in orange vests. I winked and strolled off, leaving them steaming. The story didn't end there. A week later, the police academy called Gary quit the program, unable to handle the Karen and Gary stigma. I felt a twinge of pity, then recalled his flexing and sheriff threats. Pity faded. Life in Willow Creek settled. I focused on being chief, new programs, better training, making the town safer, more welcoming. I still swam in my pool, but kept my badge handy, just in case. The Karen and Gary saga taught me. Life's full of wild encounters, but with humor, authority, and patience, you can handle anything. Hope this gave you a laugh or something to chew on. If a Karen and her wannabe cop husband ever hassle you,